Welcome to the Children Author Show, featuring books for the youngsters and by the youngsters. At 7 or 77, discover new authors and writings who bring you new pleasures. Enjoy the moment with your host, Don McCauley.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is your host, Don McCauley. Today we're welcoming the program author Linda Maria Frank, and she is the author of The Madonna Ghost, Annie Tillery Mystery Series number 1. Linda, how are you?
I'm well, and I'm happy to be on your show. Thanks, Don.
Well, why don't we start, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I was a teacher for, believe it or not, 50 years. I taught in junior high, I taught in high school, I taught in undergraduate college, and I taught in graduate school. I taught science, and because I taught forensic science, and I loved Nancy Drew when I was a kid, I decided that I would write a mystery series, and that's how I got into this wonderful world of authorship.
Tell us about the book.
The Madonna Ghost takes place on Long Island's Barrier Beach, Fire Island, which is a resort community here, but Fire Island really has a very interesting history. It combines a wonderful ghost story, which I manufactured, with a mystery surrounding the neighbors in the cottage next door. Annie Tillery, who is our teen sleuth, goes on vacation with her Aunt Jill. Aunt Jill is a New York City police detective. This is how Annie gets into trouble. Their host on the island, Doc Egan, provides two important facets of the story: a nephew, Ty Egan, who falls in love with Annie, and a ghost story, tantalizing enough to set Annie and Ty off on a quest for said ghost. The ghost appears, taunting them to solve her intriguing appearances. Aunt Jill disappears, and all the clues lead to the neighbor's cottage next door. The book has a ghost story, a lovely little romance, the thrill of a ghost hunt, and a crime that puts Annie and Ty in grave danger, all set on beach and sailboat.
Who did you write this book for specifically?
I wrote the book for teens and tweens. My experience marketing books tells me that it has a wider audience because there are many, many adult women who like YA literature. Some of my best reviews on Amazon are from adult women. But actually, from the standpoint of who am I dedicating it to, it's all the young girls who were my students. They were very inspiring to me.
Now, would you say there's a central message or perhaps an underlying theme that runs throughout the book?
Absolutely. In addition to the fun aspects of ghosts and mystery, central message is an extension of my many years of teaching. Girls are strong, girls are smart. I created a heroine who has some of the issues many teens have today. She lives with her Aunt Jill because her mother is in and out of an alcoholism rehab, and her father works for the State Department and travels a lot. Despite these issues, Annie has made a life for herself, taking challenges as they appear. I want my readers to relate to Annie and think, if she can do it, so can I. I show her solving problems in exciting settings. This is the underlying message. I really am into giving girls self-confidence, letting them know that they're strong and that they are smart. In addition to the fun aspects of the story, the reason why I wrote these books was because I really wanted to give girls self-confidence. I spent many years teaching girls, and girls sometimes are very reluctant to go into fields like science and math, and of course those were my fields. So in order to do that in what I think is a more exciting way than just saying go into science and math, I wrote stories where my heroine, Annie Tillery, really deals with forensic science to solve the mysteries that she gets involved in.
Now, if you could compare this book with any book out there we might already be familiar with, or even a movie, which book or movie would you compare it to, and why?
Well, of course, Nancy Drew comes to mind right away. As I said, I call these books Nancy Drew meets CSI because of the forensic aspects. But I did come across a series that intrigued me. It's called The Gallagher Girls. And the heroine in The Gallagher Girls is very much like my Annie Tillery in that she's smart. She goes to a special academy for exceptional young women, and she solves mysteries. But definitely, I really did model my books on that Nancy Drew theme of a very competent young lady solving mysteries.
What is it about Fire Island that makes this a perfect setting for a ghost story?
Oh, Fire Island is not only a beach resort. Everyone thinks of it as this wonderful beach resort, but Fire Island, because of its location near New York Harbor, really has an exciting history. There's a history of piracy. There's a history of ghost stories. There's a wonderful lighthouse that was commissioned by George Washington, and it has a ghost. There was bootlegging during the Prohibition days, and now there's dope smuggling. So it's a place where there's beauty and crime, and it's a perfect mixture of those two things. So I thought it would be a good place to set a mystery.
What else can you tell us about the main character?
Annie Tillery, she's a typical 17-year-old. She is trying to become independent. She lives with her aunt because her mother is in and out of alcoholism rehab. Her father works for the State Department, so he's rarely ever home. Her aunt is a New York City Police Department special detective. And, of course, this is an opening for her to get involved in different cases. But Annie goes to school. They live in Manhattan. She goes to school in Manhattan. She's very daring. She is willing to take on all kinds of adventure, sometimes on the verge of being reckless. And so she struggles with both her father and her mother, and she struggles with her aunt to get the independence that she needs to do the things that she does. And she usually manages, but she maintains a good relationship with her aunt. And she struggles with her parents, like many teenagers.
How did you come up with the idea for the story?
Well, my ideas really spring from two things inspire me to write my books. One of them is setting. I'll be somewhere, and I'll look around, and I'll say, what a great place to set a story. The other thing that goes into giving me an idea for a story is there are aspects of forensic science that I'm very interested in. And usually that's the aspect of forensic science that I will put in the book. For instance, in this book, of course, forensic science is used by paranormal people to study ghosts. So I put some of that information in there. But it's usually those two things. And then, of course, in this book, in The Madonna Ghost, I was very interested in capturing things that happened to me in my life, and I always wanted to have them somewhere where I could revisit them. One of them is sailing. I had a sailboat for 10 years. So there are a number of scenes on this in this book that take place on that sailboat, and it is the very same sailboat. I never wanted to forget what it was like to sail and the thrill of sailing. Also, the little teen romance that happens in here was my attempt to capture what it's like to fall in love for the first time. So those were my motivations for writing this first Annie Tillery book.
How much research did you do for this book?
Well, the research for the book, for me, was not a big deal, simply because I taught forensic science for over 20 years. So that background is with me. I can just tap my brain for that. As far as Fire Island is concerned, the research that I did on that is I worked in the Fire Island Lighthouse as a volunteer. And one of the things I did was give a lecture on how the United States Life-Saving Service, which is the precursor to the United States Coast Guard, saved people from shipwrecks. And our ghost, which I will tell you about in a minute or so, actually is a victim of shipwreck. So that research also was something that I did in relation to my volunteer job. Sailing, I sailed for 10 years, so the research was really all part of life experiences and things that I taught.
Tell us about the ghost.
Well, the ghost, she's a victim of a shipwreck. She is actually coming from Europe. The ship is only carrying women and children. They are coming to meet their husbands who've established themselves in the New World with a job. And usually ships do not come to the United States during the hurricane season because of the bad storms. But this particular ship got hung up in Jamaica, the island of Jamaica, and had to be repaired. So it ended up coming at peak hurricane season. And so the storm washed the ship up on the sandbars that are all along the coast of Fire Island, making it very treacherous. In fact, people who do scuba diving actually do a lot of wreck diving right off Fire Island because of that. And the boat breaks up on the sandbar. The women are forced to swim to shore because the storm is so bad that the rescue people can't get a boat out to them. So the women lash their babies to themselves as they try to swim ashore. Our ghost makes it to shore, but her child dies. She tries in vain to get the rescue people to revive the baby, and she can't. And so she's frantically running up and down the beach trying to get help until she dies herself. A week or two later, people begin to see someone resembling her running up and down the beach, and periodically, from time to time, the ghost is seen. And of course, in the book, The Madonna Ghost, the ghost is seen on a regular basis. So that's how Annie sees the ghost.
And why did you choose to make Annie's best friend a male instead of a female?
Because she is on the island, on vacation, a perfect time to meet somebody new. I wanted the setting to have this romance and for her to have a girlfriend. She could have taken a girlfriend with her. But if she had a girlfriend along, it would really interfere with this little romance. Plus the fact that I think Ty offers a very strong male character as well. What I tried also to show in this book was not only is it a romance, but if you're going to have a romance, it's wonderful if the other person is your best friend. And Ty really comes across as a friend of Annie's as well as her love interest. And also the male character, the strong male character, can introduce her to things that are usually part of the male world, not so much the female world. So I wanted to bring in a strong male character.
How much forensic science is in the book?
The forensic science in the book deals with, first of all, the sailboat is stolen at one time. It deals with investigating the crime of arson. It deals with investigating fingerprinting. It deals with some DNA, but not a lot, and it deals with the identification of materials that would be used in ballistics and explosives.
In your opinion, who should buy this book?
I think I have really two audiences, actually three. I think educators should buy this book simply because it's exciting fiction. And one of the lines that I use when I market this book is make your child a lifetime reader. I've actually put lesson plans on my website based on the book. And they're also based on the Common Core values, which are what teachers use as a standard for their lessons. So educators can download the lesson plans, use the lessons, and get children to read books that are exciting but also hook into history and also science. My second audience is grandparents and parents. Again, get your child interested in reading by buying them exciting fiction. And my other audience, of course, is the reader who just loves a ghost story, loves a mystery, and loves to have fun when they read.
Well, time is getting very short, so the most important question, where can people buy this book?
People can buy this book on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. It's for educators. It's on Baker & Taylor and Ingram. They can contact me at my website, and I will send them an autographed copy. But basically, the easiest place is Amazon. It's also available in ebook format and digital audio. And digital audio is available on audible.com.
Well, this has been just great. Our guest today has been Linda Maria Frank, and she is the author of The Madonna Ghost, Annie Tillery Mystery Series 1. Linda, thanks very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
This is Don McCauley wrapping up another edition of the Children's Author Show. If you're an author or know an author, learn how you can help a publisher publish you by visiting helpapublisherpublishyou.com. Each week you receive a listing of publishers, small presses, and others who may be interested in publishing your work. This is a free service of the Author Show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit www.thechildren'sauthorsshow.com, fill out the form, and we may be contacting you shortly. And if you're an author, don't forget to visit Book Marketing, the Author's Marketing Powerhouse, at www.theauthorsmarketingpowerhouse.com. We look forward to seeing you here next time on the Children's Author Show.
Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for another great book on the Children Author Show. To find out more about the show, visit thechildrenauthorsshow.com.